Hi.
Hi,
Hey,
Wunmi, how
Ryan.
are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Um, I have to say, before I jump into some questions about the show, um, his house has not left my brain
Oh, wow.
for a while, but some of the imagery of that film is still so frightening to me. And I think it's one of the scariest and well-written horror films I've seen in a very long time. So
Yeah,
loved it.
thank
Um,
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And also Lovecraft Country. I don't think I've ever seen a show take such huge, massive swings like that. And I think I sort of loved how episode to episode, I had no idea what the hell to expect. So that was so refreshing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Um, I watched all of We Own This City in about 24 hours. I probably don't recommend watching the show that way because it's so it is very heavy, but it is very rich and it is very textured, and there are so many points of view. But I sort of could not stop watching it. So I guess the first question that I had is, I sort of don't like asking like reaction to the material, but I wanted to know what your reaction was to such a rich material, because I think David Simon does such incredible work.
Yeah, I read the script not knowing the story at all as a historical event.
Mhm.
Um, and I was kind of like, oh, this feels important, but also this is a drama. This I thought it was like this is a drama, and it felt important. But then when Freddie Gray's name's mentioned, I was like, oh no, this is based in truth. This is true. And so then I started Googling everyone's names, and I was like, my mind was completely blown because I had just never heard of it. I had, I had an idea of like, I know about, systemic, issues of inequality and injustice and police brutality and violence, but I just didn't know how systemic it was within like everyone protecting this open secret. And I just was completely floored by it. I was just completely floored that it wasn't just the police, that it was the Justice Department knew what was going on, that people they were saying you can't testify because we know you will perjure yourself. So
Mhm.
instead of, you know, uh instead of like any kind of what's the word? What's the word? Accountability. It's like
Oh yeah.
we're just going to ignore it and continue and give you all this, continue to give you power and strength and authority and over all these people, innocent people's lives. It just blew my mind. So when I read it, I just
Mhm.
was completely like stumped. I think I lost a little bit of faith.
Mhm.
I did. I just
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. Like, I just couldn't believe it that it was that poisonous. So it was a real eye-opening moment. Like, you know, I I thought it was a drama, but this is real. This is real. This really happened. And it's not the past. It's like
Mhm.
the other day.
Yeah.
The other day.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. It really did. And then I was like, oh, not only is this important because of what we're going through now, but it's just important. It's just
Mhm.
important because this is a whole city that has been scarred. And to be honest, it's a country that's scarred.
The sort of acknowledgement of how when the characters, especially in a lot of your scenes, when the characters are acknowledging how messed up everything is. Like it's like there are many interactions throughout the series where it's just like, all right, all of these officers are known to use excessive force, this, that, and the other. And it's just like, yeah, but they're sort of like just getting off on a technicality, or this is the reason why they're still allowed to work. It's, or they're allowed to be on the streets policing people. It's really, I sort of felt like watching it, and I know about it, but it's sort of like the way that the scripts and the performances lay it all out in such a matter-of-fact way to the audience. I felt like I could like just feel it like right here and up here, and it was just sort of just like it's sort of like drowning. Like, how do you get out of it?
Right. This is the world we live in, and these are the people who are meant to be protecting us. This is the systems above us, and it's lawless, and there is no, it does feel like you're drowning. It does. Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think that a lot of people feel like that on an every single day basis, you know.
Oh, okay. I think in episode 1, a character asks you, aren't you angry? And your response is, sure, but I don't make it my everything. And then I think it's your scene, your first scene with Treat Williams. I think the scene ends with him asking you the same question, but the way the scene is cut, we don't see your response or hear your response. I guess I wanted to know from you, how hard is that for Nicole? And I guess especially through these 6 episodes, because you're getting asked that multiple times, like how much she is thinking about that. Because I thought of that the entire show when I was watching it.
I feel like that's a feeling that most, if not all, Black Americans feel every day. Aren't you angry? Like, you see what happens every single day at the hands of the police, at the hands of white supremacy, white supremacists, you know, at the hands of like poverty and inequality and the patriarchy. I mean, that's an everyday thing that you have to like negotiate every time you step out of your house, and sometimes even in your house, because you're living in the circumstances that have been that are like that the whole system is imprinting on you, pushing on you. I mean, that's just an everyday feeling, right? And so then you have to negotiate it every single day. We all do. Like, I mean, I look at the news and I'm not shocked. I'm heartbroken, but I'm not shocked. And so I need to negotiate those feelings of being angry and heartbroken every single day.
Every day, with like every potential interaction that you may not know that you're going to have that day. So it's, yeah,
whether or not it's even my personal interaction, or whether it's watching the news and seeing the tragedy in Buffalo. I have to, you know, we all have to, the whole community has to continue through that continuous trauma that you're living through. Like, you know, how do you go to the supermarket now?
Yeah.
You know, how do you do that and feel and not feel something? Yeah, I think that's a feeling and a question and an objective we have to live with every single moment of every single day, especially when we step out of the house.
Sorry. I wanted to know how you think Nicole prepared for her meeting with Herschel. Um, it's a brief scene. There's something about the way that you walk over to him. He's eating. He doesn't stand up. He shakes your hand with essentially a dirty hand and hands you like a wet nap. I don't remember. Forgive me if Nicole like reaches for it or asks for it. But that is a person that she has heard about and a lot, and things that he is responsible for, and she's meeting him sort of face to face. And I was curious what that scene was like for her, just because I was so surprised that there was the scene where you and Josh get to interact face to face like that.
So the question is, how do you think how did she prepare for that meeting?
Yeah, like what do you think that was like for her to sort of interact with this gentleman who has, you know,
Gentle.
yeah, who has, yeah, exactly, who has a his reputation obviously precedes him, and she's interacting with him really for the first time, and talking to him. Forgive me, I don't remember some of the dialogue, but it was some of even just the body language even struck me.
I mean, I think she is, I mean, his reputation precedes him. The reputation of the police force precedes them.
Mm-hmm.
She knows that it's a delicate balance between ego and, I don't know, strength. I don't know if that's the right word, ego and strength. Like she has to, I mean, she doesn't get what she wants from the scene, I guess, but she gets what she needs from the scene to understand him. I think it's one of those, I don't know, I feel it like sometimes with some people, just knowing you have to, like, I don't know, it's it's a hard one, because it is like a whole it's like a game of chess in your mind. It's like, I need to give a certain amount of you know, ego stroking in a way, and like understanding, and not be like aggressive in it, but also you can't be retreating either, in order to get a semblance of respect from a person. I don't know, that's I feel like that's the that's the dance, I want to say, the ego dance that we all have to do every day, dealing with certain people. Like some people it's easier with, and you know, but you still have to try. Some with those who are harder to deal with. Yeah, I don't know, it's yeah, even the fact that she meets him in a bar, like, I don't feel like that was a meeting that was set up. Like, do you know what I mean? She didn't give,
Like maybe
I don't
like,
feel like she gave
yeah.
him time to like figure out what he was going to say and do. Like, she, you know, she introduced him, she's found out where he is and introduces herself like completely out of the blue to him, which I guess she thought was a good move. But maybe it meant because he didn't have time to prepare, he kind of shut down quite quick. So I don't know. I think there was lots of like tactics. It's like, you know, am I going to pull out my queen, or yeah, or am I going to, you know, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it feels like a chess game. Yeah, it does.
No, like you have to, like you said, sort of ego stroking, especially with a man like that. I mean, you have to give him so much to either like weigh down their defenses, or to give them enough that they think that like you're there for them, so they open up to give you anything. So no, I totally understand what you mean by that. Okay.
Yeah.
um when you were talking about when you read the script and you saw the name of Freddie Gray, um that name is so constantly said throughout the show, especially like the first half.
Mm-hmm.
It I guess I wanted to know like what it was sort of like to um put yourself in not put yourself, but I mean to embody a time period where that wound is so raw. Like how I can't imagine um embodying a time and place that is that specific. And I was curious what it was sort of like to go to that place, to be in a physical place where that has happened and everything is so I can't think of the right word. I'm not wording this eloquently, I apologize. It just sort of, I want to say, like, go back in time to that specific time frame. Like, what mentally, how did that feel?
Like I said, it doesn't feel like the past.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't. When we were shooting the scenes after um the uprising with the police, and the people, in between takes, everyone everyone I spoke to that day had a story about that day, where they were, how it felt, the things that we had that weren't there, the things that were there that weren't, I mean, people's memory of that day was so vivid and tangible. And the emotion was, I mean, very raw, actually. I mean, there were days that day specifically, a member of the public, you know, basically delivered a monologue about how things haven't changed and how traumatized the city is, the people are. And we stopped filming because what that person was saying and what that person was feeling mattered.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're telling this story. Yeah, it didn't feel like going to the past at all. It felt very present, very, very present. And the the ripple effect, didn't feel like it had died down and dissipated. It's definitely, the waves are still coming,
Yeah.
for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There is an exchange, I think it's in episode 3, um, where a man says to you, you can't wash, I think it's a fork in a bucket of dirty water. And Nicole says to him, um, you can still put out a fire with a bucket of dirty water. And I was curious if you would consider Nicole to be an idealist.
Hmm. I don't know if she's an idealist. I think she has hope.
Mm.
I definitely think she has hope. I don't think she's an idealist, but there is that there is that you can put out a fire. I mean, let's put out the fire first, and then we can maybe figure out getting some clean water. I don't know, like, I think, to be honest, I think anyone who works in like the civil rights division or anyone who does anything for like human rights and equality has to have an amazing amount of hope, actually, because really there's no point without it. Like, we have to have hope that things will change, or else what are they even doing all of this for? But to keep that hope alive and your sanity and your peace, sometimes it requires passing the baton as well, and making sure that you get to experience your joy, that your life gets to experience, that you can focus on your joy. Yeah, I think everyone who works in those kinds of jobs has to have hope. I don't know if it means you're an idealist, but yeah.
Okay. You mentioned just passing the baton, and you do that in the last episode with Ahmed before you leave the office. This may sound like a general question, but I was curious what you hope, what Nicole hopes, that Ahmed takes from his time working with her.
I hope that that's a good question. I hope that he continues the fight, continues to seek, his own joy and peace, the pursuit of happiness. But I think how to do that, trying to do both, to value and seek his peace and joy, and continue the good fight for equality and dignity for all. I would say that would be her biggest hope for him, and to do it with integrity. Yeah, I would say that would be her biggest hope for him. Yeah.
Okay. I think that might be all the questions I have for you. I have to tell you that I just think that this piece is so vital and necessary and urgent that I feel like I want this to be almost part of a curriculum for something, as many eyes of it on as possible, just because I think it is a very, like I said before, like a rich text, and I think it is acted so well from the entire ensemble. And I wanted to say, just I love watching you as a performer, just because the way that you are able to, I can't think of the right word, sort of incorporate this sort of emotionality, I don't think that's a word, with such a fierce intelligence. And sometimes you don't even have to say anything. And I'm just watching your face, and I want to know so much from you as a performer. That's not really a question. That's just something I wanted to tell you. So anything that I know that you're in, I want to watch it just because I know that you're going to bring such prestige level to anything. So I guess thank you for your time. That's really what I wanted to say. As soon as I found you were in this, like, I love the cast in general, but when I saw your name, I was like, all right, yeah, I'm definitely watching it. So
Thank you.
yeah, so thank you for your time and your generosity, and I hope you stay safe and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
lovely meeting you.
You too.
Thank